We're on the air. We're on the air. Author Interview Radio brings you the hottest authors publishing on the planet today. Listen in on these private conversations. Now, here's your host. You are on the air.
Hi, everyone. This is Tammy Patzer, and I'm really excited to introduce today's guest, Melody Keymer Harper. Melody is an international speaker, 6 times best-selling author, entertainer, and TV podcast host of Ignite Your Influence Now and Speaker's Money Train. I don't know, when I hear Speaker's Money Train, I just hear the money chugging away there. It's very exciting. Melody has more than 40 years of experience in show business and the world of business teaching, speaking, communication, storytelling, and stage presence strategies to help people stand out as an expert in your field, to make an impact with your message and magnetically attract new clients to catapult your business to greater heights. Aside from acting in the movie Double Trouble with Elvis Presley, Melody has worked with and also shared the stage and screen with some of the most highly sought after speaking giants, including Brian Tracy, Les Brown, Jack Canfield, and other celebrities and movie stars, including Elizabeth Taylor, Johnny Carson, Suzanne Sommers, Anthony Hopkins, Martha Stewart, and everybody's favorite, the Scorpion, Walter O'Brien, Ice-T, and of course, even Michael Gerber of the famed E-Myth. So Melody has certainly been rubbing elbows with some of the greats, and I even heard a rumor, and we'll ask her about it later, about meeting former First Lady Rosalind Carter most recently in her big adventures. This is something really interesting to me. Twice a year, Melody also presents her 3-day intensive Ignite Your Speaking Power boot camps and a 2-day Speaker's Money Train, a retreat for business professionals, speakers, authors, and entrepreneurs who want to get more high-paying clients, more speaking gigs, and of course, more profits for their business. And this is really important because I'm going to ask Melody tonight a little bit more about her Ignite Your Speaking Power and her Speaker's Money Train retreats, because it's 2020. It's time. We've all been working for the last decade to move forward. We're moving into an entirely new decade. So with that, welcome, Melody.
Well, I'm so happy, Tammy, that I'm finally back in the area that we can make this happen. This is great. Nice to be with you.
Well, thank you. I wanted to ask you, because I know you literally just got done with the speaking tour. You were in New York City. You were speaking at Carnegie Hall. And then I heard you were at NASDAQ. And then just
Harvard.
You were meeting with Rosalind Carter up in Georgia. So tell me a little bit more about your speaking adventures this past year.
Oh, it's been a whirlwind. It's been fabulous. I've enjoyed it very much. I love it. Been doing more of a media tour because of that's my background and helping people get out that celebrity status. I want to show them how they can do it. And so I'm doing it too. And for me, if you're not walking your talk, then you shouldn't be working with that person. If you want to get a speaking coach, you should be working with somebody that's actually doing it, that's out there speaking. And so that's what I'm doing. And I love it because it keeps me current and it helps my clients as well. And right now, I just got off the plane last night, coming back from Georgia that you were saying. And we were meeting with former President Carter and his wife, Rosalind Carter. And unfortunately, President Carter could not be there. He just had his surgery a little bit ago. and it was brain surgery, and he's still recovering, and he wasn't quite up to coming. And we went to a church service. It was a wonderful service in Plains. It was in Plains, Georgia, where he was raised. And we looked at this little town, and it was so quaint and beautiful, and it's all Carter land, and everyone there absolutely loves him. And I can see why. He does so much, and Habitats for Humanities is there, and he just is really big in things like that. He's just a real good person. And his wife, Rosalind, she's amazing. And they're in their 90s. He's 95, and I think she's 92, 93. And she was a sweetheart. But we were at church with her, and afterwards we talked and then had pictures with her. And so I'm very honored to have a picture with her. And my husband was there too, so it was very nice. It was a pleasant time. And then before that, it was like you said, I've been on a whirlwind, because before that I was at Carnegie Hall on a stage with Martha Stewart, and she was phenomenal, and being interviewed there by Michael Gerber of the E-Myth, and that was really enlightening. And Scorpion, oh my gosh, he can sting, I'll tell you. He's great. he was phenomenal. He's smart, oh my gosh, but from a heart too. Good guy. I thought he was phenomenal. And then was there also on stage with Coco and Ice-T, and they're a married couple. But Ice-T, as you know, is famous on his police program that he's on, and being a rapper before. And he was so funny. And this is what I love when I do my boot camps that you were talking about doing stories, because facts tell, stories sell. And I always say that everywhere I go, facts tell, stories sell. People love to hear the stories, and they could be about famous people. I'm very blessed that I'm around a lot of different people that are celebrities, so that people want to hear those stories, but people love to hear anything that has any kind of an interest. And with Ice-T, he is so funny. But he talks about how, hey, it was easy for him to do this police program that he does, NCIS, that he does because of the fact that he was a gangster himself. And he says, I was in a gang. And he goes, what better to know what police are like? And he says, so he has both sides of it. And it was funny listening to his stories. And Coco was a sweetheart too, his wife. But, and just before that, so that was at Carnegie Hall, and I got up in there and I sang. So I had fun singing on stage as well. And that was really something, because I usually sing with my twin sister, but she wasn't there. So I sang by myself. And then before that, I was very lucky to be on the stage at Harvard, and that was with Suzanne Sommers, and we were speaking there, and I loved it. It was great. She was very gracious, very, very nice. And I was talking to her about the fact that when I went back to school after raising my kids, I got my master's degree, and she happened to be the person that was the keynote speaker there, and she actually got an honorary doctorate degree from National University. She goes, oh my gosh, I remember that. And we had a big conversation because it was something personal. It wasn't just talking, hey, you're a celebrity. It was talking something that we related to. And that's what it's all about. But what I just came back and I love, and you were talking about this, was a real honor being at NASDAQ. I spoke at NASDAQ for Wall Street. And then before that, I was on the big Jumbotron with my head bigger than life on that great big tower that they have above. And it was phenomenal, but very, very blessed, very happy. This year has been going phenomenally. And I just love the fact that I have clients that I can help make a difference for them and get them in the same track too. So they stand out in their industry.
That Jumbotron, I think, is something like 75 feet tall or something like that.
Well, I'm not surprised. I think you're right.
About what you do, and you said it, you're out there speaking at all of these different places, and of course you're meeting these different celebrities, actors, movie stars, and presidential people, and that is how you are able to help other people to become prepared. But you have this fascinating background, because some of the people who have been in your life included, we're talking about the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley. And even though he's been gone now many years, most people remember where they were the day they heard he passed away. But what was that like? And what was your life like as, you've developed into who you are today?
That was really a fortunate thing for us too. My twin sister and I were the twins in Double Trouble with Elvis, and he was phenomenal. We were in our teens, and he would come down anytime he saw us, he would say, "Oh, here comes Double Trouble. Here comes Double Trouble." And we're like, "Oh my gosh." And so it kind of stuck. And that's when my twin sister and I had our radio show. We called it the Double Trouble. We called it Double Trouble Talk Radio. And it was fun. And the intro was, "We've got double trouble. We've got double trouble. We've got double trouble. Twice as much as anybody else. Oh, yeah." And of course, it was in harmony because my twin sister sang with me. But what was amazing, that was the song. It was a theme. So we used that as a theme song. But with Elvis, the thing that was a really big thing for me is he became a very important mentor in my life. He was a big, big thing for me, as well as Johnny Carson, and Mickey Rooney, the biggest impacts I had, because I went through a period where, starting out at 3 years old, my twin sister and I started singing. And by the time we were 10, we became professional in film, TV, and stage. And then all of a sudden, when we were in our later teens, I was on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. And all of a sudden I heard, "Here's Johnny." And I walked out there, and for the first time in my life, I froze. I had stage fright. And I have a deep appreciation for people now who have a fear of public speaking. And I always say this story too, how Jerry Seinfeld he famously said 75% of people would rather be in the coffin than saying the eulogy. That's how strong they feel about public speaking. And so when I was with, so Johnny was a big mentor for me on that too. But when I was with Elvis, I asked him, because of my experience before that, I said, "Did you ever get stage fright?" And he said, "Honey, whenever I get on stage, I get them butterflies. And when I get them butterflies, I know I'm at the top of my game." And I thought, oh. And he had a lot of stage fright. In fact, that's his famous story. And at my boot camps, people want to know all the different stories. So I tell the stories about all these people that I've worked with, but I don't just tell them to be telling them. There's a reason for it, because now I help people with their public speaking. I help them to have incredible stage presence, to get unstoppable confidence, to make a difference, and to use that as a vehicle for them to understand the possibilities that they have through speaking as number one thing to get out there, really to make a difference in your life, is speaking. And so when anybody uses stories, they need to tie them in to whatever their topic is, not just to be telling a story to be telling a story. And then people say, "But what if I don't want to be a celebrity? I don't have to be an Elvis Presley or an Elizabeth Taylor." That's not the point. It's not the being a celebrity. It's to stand out like a celebrity, so that people think you are walking down that red carpet of importance. It's making you stand out from anybody else in your industry. So it doesn't mean you have to be with a actor or an actress. It could be just whoever is a big person that is looked up to in your own industry. Being around them gives you visibility. It gives you perceived value to other people, that if you're around them, there's something important about you. It just is a perceived value. That's why it's so important to be out there amongst people that are making it happen in your industry. Because if you're around them, then just by being there, rubbing off on you makes a difference for your not only credibility, but helping you to make a difference for other people too.
That really
was great.
That makes a lot of sense, because you've said it many times. People will say, "I don't want to be famous. I don't really want to be a celebrity. I just want to get more business." So when you're working with people at your Speaker's Money Train retreat or at your Ignite Your Speaking Power, what are most of the people who are there? What are they trying to work on?
There's all kinds of levels, Tammy. They're anywhere from beginning to intermediate to advanced in their speaking and their business. And I just take them wherever they're at and go from that point on. And you can learn whatever it is. But they're really wanting to hone in on their message to make sure that they're really putting their message together in a compelling way. So it magnetizes your audience so that there's interest. And I am working with a client right now that absolutely everything that she said was so monotone. It was like going straight across. It was like a robot. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And pretty soon you're on snooze. And it's like, whoa. And so there's different ways. And it could be that you really want to make an impact. So you maybe whisper something, or you're really excited about something. So you just start talking faster, or you slow up. Big part of your communication is not just in the words, which is your content, which is 7% of what they say is communication is all about. 93% really is what's most critical, and that's your nonverbal. Nonverbal does not mean just not saying, because part of it could be your expressions and sounds that come out. And so it's your gestures and your movements. And that makes a huge difference. So that's what I teach people, is how to have stage presence on a stage, whether it's a small stage, a large stage, whether on one-on-one. It's public speaking. And people think, I'm not a public speaker. Yes, you are. Every single one is. It just means you're speaking. If you're speaking on one-on-one to somebody, you're speaking publicly. And so it's not just because you're on stage, but there are different ways. And then I help people to understand there's a whole different realm. If you're on a small stage, you're going to be talking in a certain tone, in a certain volume. If you're on a huge stage, when you're in front of thousands, then you have to be bigger than life. And expressions are big. Everything's big. Whereas anything that's smaller, then you bring it down. But you still keep your energy level. Your energy level always has to be up. People like energy. And then media, like we're doing podcasts or doing TV shows. There's a total different realm of doing podcasts and TV shows. And when you're on like a TV, you have to think about, oh, I'm within a frame. I can't use this whole stage. There's just a different way of speaking and presenting yourself in different situations. And that's what I am really good at, helping people understand how to get across the best way to make a presentation really sound like a wow factor with their powerful stories and with the way they present it. And so that's what they really come away with. And also I give them opportunities for possibilities of speaking on my stage. We do hot seats and I do microphone areas. So they get a chance to speak, and it's about themselves. And by the time people leave, they feel so connected with the people that are at my groups. It's such a strong environment. It's a safe environment. And they feel more confident leaving than they've ever felt, because they are free to actually speak and get coached, and in a safe, fire, caring, non-judgmental environment where it's just nothing but wanting your success. Everything is all about the person's success. And so we give them opportunities to also get videos so that they can have materials for their promo information to put on if they have an opportunity to be on stages with me. And learning about where to get your gig. So they go away finding out, well, now that I know my presentation, how to put presentations together, and the best way, and to figure out who I am, because some of them are like, what do I even say? To figure out what their message is. And then, well, where do I get the speaking engagements? Where do I get the gigs? And who do I talk to? How do I talk to them? What do I do? Where do I go? And so those are the things I give them guidelines: where to go to get your speaking gigs, how to get them, and then getting on different people's stages. I have the book that's coming out, The 7 Powerful Ways to Use Speaking to Build Your Business. And that's part of the money train, this money speakers train as well. With my formula, I have a really great formula blueprint that I have that helps people understand from the S to the K speak to get out there to make a difference in their business. I love it.
Wow. Well, just in the short time that you've been speaking, you have used a lot of different techniques. You use the volume of your voice, you slowed it down, you speeded it up. So you've actually been demonstrating how to speak during our conversation. And you're right about podcasts, because a podcast could be a video podcast, could be an audio podcast. And then, of course, television is a whole nother dynamic. But it's no matter where you're going to be speaking, just like what you said, you're public speaking when you're talking to someone else.
Yes, exactly.
So powerful. So how did you get into this part of your business? Because, of course, you were a child actor, actress, And how did you get into the business of speaking? And, what really motivated you to start teaching others?
Our whole family are educators. And so I ended up going to college and getting my degrees, my bachelor's degrees, my master's, and 2 credentials as well, and using entertainment still during that time. But a big part of it, I'm a counselor and I give back 2 days a week at the college. And so I help people do academic, career, and personal counseling. And a big part of that, I'm always seeing, and they have me as their spokesperson for doing all the different workshops. And that's on college success, how to transfer, how to transition into a career, goal setting, time management, communication, listening skills, marketing yourself for success. Many, many workshops that I've created and helped people get out there. But the biggest thing I have found is communication is the number one thing that people need. Is the number one tool that makes a difference in the success of your business and in your relationships. And so many people don't understand the power of communication. Somebody can be brilliant. I'm telling you, Tammy, they can have the best knowledge of everything, be so brilliant, and they are not going to go up as high the ladder as somebody that may be mediocre and decent, but has incredible communication skills and lots of confidence. Lack of confidence really promotes lack of confidence in that person. And so if you have a lot of confidence, people just look at you as more educated, more successful, and more interesting to talk to. So it just makes sense that you need to work on yourself if that's an area that you have a weakness. And I'm really good at helping people with that to make a difference, to help them, like I said, get that unstoppable confidence, because that's where you need to work on it first, is yourself. If you don't feel good about what you're doing, other people are going to read it. And a lot of times, and I'm going to tell you, people say, oh, you're so natural out there. Every time I go on stage, every time, without fail, I have those butterflies, just like Elvis taught me. He has the butterflies, but he's taught, you'll learn how to put them in formation and control them. And people don't know it, even though you're feeling it inside. I worked with Betty White, and I loved her. Betty White was great. But one of the things that she says, she loves it when she has that little fear, because she knows, she says the anxiety that's in there is excitement to her. And she said that motivates her. It's exciting for her. And it is. You turn that juices of anxiety and frustration and nervousness and being so scared and panicking into excitement. And if you're prepared, and that's what I teach, and that's part of the things that I do with programs that when I have clients and I work with them, teaching them how to structure their programs, but how to prepare for everything is not just preparing for your presentation. It's preparing for every aspect that's getting ready for the stages. And I know when I get on stage, and I say this all the time because people say, what do you do before you go on? I have my own little routine. I'm back there and I'm just, moving around because you want your energy up. I'm pretty high energied anyway. I'm always high energy. I'm always on the go-go. And, but I want to make sure my energy is up there. And I go in there, and the biggest thing you can do for yourself is whenever you're talking to somebody, start out with smiling. Before anything, start out with smiling. And if you're not sure about it, be ahead of time and start laughing. Start laughing, because laughter brings enthusiasm, it brings energy, and it makes the audience love you more, and it puts them in a good mood. So I always make sure that I'm smiling before I go on. I'm upbeat, I have energy, and I'm moving, and you can do a little bit of jumping jacks or slap your legs, slap your arms, get that, get going a little bit there, and then take deep breaths so that you breathe from the diaphragm, not from the chest, but from your diaphragm, and breathe before going on. And then you can do whatever you want. Everything is personal to whatever works best for you. But my thing is, I always say a prayer before I go out. That's where I come from. I say a prayer that I am going to do the best job I can do, that I am here in service of these people. It's not about me. And that's where a lot of the fear comes, because people get into themselves and they're thinking about, are they going to like me? Do I look okay? Do I sound okay? Are they going to approve of me? Are they going to be judging me? You're thinking about yourself instead of the fact that these people came because you have a message they need to hear. And you're just the messenger, and you're giving it in a compelling way so that they can take it back and run with it. And so you're a value. You're a value to them. Just always put yourself in a light, that knowing I have something good that I'm giving and I'm offering. And there's a lot of ways to make sure that you do that to overcome that lack of confidence going out there. But go in, that's what I always say, to make sure it's not about me, it's about them. And I go out and I smile and I get grounded when I get out there, because I'm putting myself in the position of looking at the different people in the audience. And if I can find smiling faces, great. And you recognize people. If you're speaking at a place, you also want to possibly meet people ahead of time and then get their names, because nobody likes their name more than themselves. Okay? And hearing their name makes them feel like, oh, you remember who I am and you care about me. You're interested. So that's so important. It just always, and a good way to remember people's names is repeating them. Like Tammy, I'm going to say your name at different times. Of course, I know you. I've known you for years now. And that's easy. But if I'm doing a class or if I'm teaching clients or whatever when they're on stages, then they may come out and say, Bob, remember when we were talking about how to do blah, 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 whatever it is that you talked about before? And it's like, you bring your audience into you. And that ingratiates you because they want to feel like they're a part of your life and that you're a part of theirs. So there are different tips that I have that go way, way, way back. And starting now, when I did, was because of going to the education part of that, is how I decided, oh, I really want to start doing this by myself as an entrepreneur. I want to get out there rather than just doing the acting and entertaining. I want to really make a bigger difference in people's lives by helping them with their businesses and in communication. So it started out with doing the college, getting in with communication and helping people with interviewing and doing things that are going to make a difference for them transitioning to the work of careers and further. And then I just, people are saying, you need to be teaching this to people. You need to be getting out there and on stages and showing people. And every time I get out there, they're like, wow, we need more of you. Please help us. And I thought, okay, I'm in the right place. So that's kind of how it started with going back to education.
I think you are in the right place. And the more I listen to you, the more I see how you weave in so much information in just as you describe what you do. You're demonstrating how to be a good educator, teacher, performer, whatever you want to call it, how to be a good speaker. And how that you could, I think you called it magnetizing people to you, because the more I listen to you talk, the more I lean in and I want to know more about what you're doing and how you do it. And
great. I love it.
I understand that you mentioned it, that you have the new book coming out, and then you also have the speaker money train, and then the Ignite Your Speaking Power, because you do these throughout the year. So tell me more about the book and the boot camp coming up.
Yes, my boot camp coming up is a 3-day, a very hands-on experiential boot camp. They're phenomenal. People go away very transformed. And they have the opportunity to, like I was saying earlier, to get confidence if they don't have it, or if they're coming in, they feel very confident, they advance in their speaking. Everybody goes out with a lot of different things, but at least one thing, they come out improving in some way, whether they're getting their message across or fine-tuning, understand, oh my gosh, now it clicks. Now I know what my message is. And now I know who my audience is supposed to be. Or maybe now I feel better about myself, because the big part of it is talking about the mindset. We go through mindset activities and attitude, because mindset is so important when you understand what you're doing and why you're doing it for the right reasons. And always be for the right reasons, and always have what your values are, because if you don't, you're not going to do a real good job. And be true to your values. I don't work with everybody. I'm very selective on who I have. I don't allow everybody to come into my programs. And the reason for that, because they may not be a good fit for me and it may not be a good fit for them. And I want whoever I work with to be successful, and others, I want them successful. But if they don't have share the same values I do, I'm very big on the word I use a lot is if I don't feel the integrity is there, then that's not a good fit for me. It has to be a win-win for everybody. And I'll tell people, because I have sponsorships and all that, a lot of times people say, can I be a sponsor? And I'll find out, I'll be like, this probably isn't the best fit for you as a sponsor. For somebody else, it might be, but not for them. And what I'm talking about is an ROI, because when sponsorship, usually they're sponsoring because they're paying to be a sponsor at your event or paying to play, meaning on your stage or whatever. There has to be an ROI, a return on your investment. And if I feel this is not the strongest vehicle for that because of what they particularly have to offer doesn't fit with what the clientele that I have, the audience I have, then I would tell them, because I don't want them to spend money and waste it. And in my industry, it's all about getting out there. I help people make a difference with their speaking in all kinds of businesses. So there'll be different business people at my event. They're not all speakers. They're not all authors. They're not all roofers, construction people, teachers, nurses, doctors. I will have all different industries. I have chiropractors. I have doctors. I have very professional people that come. I have people that are in the starting entrepreneurs where they just want to get out there and make a difference. I have people that are in marketing, in sales, in branding, in writing books, different venues. So that may not be for everybody, but the speaking is. And for me, I get out for the business professional, the like small business owners, entrepreneurs, speakers, and authors are pretty much that's my niche of people that I work with. And those people really benefit because they work with people and need to have communication skills. Coaches, consultants, those are big ones that I work with. They need to be out there to really know how to speak to their clients and to get on stages so they can get those clients in their business. And so I would teach people how to get out there and speak if they want to be a speaker and teach speaking, but mainly it's speaking with their own industry, learning how to, make sure that they get out there and help people with dog training. I have people that are dog trainers. I have people, like I said, are chiropractors, and they have their own brick and mortar business. So it's not all entrepreneurs, but they're out there because they have their books that they want to monetize and put into other chiropractic offices, whatever. And so there's all different vehicles that come to me and they get the benefit of understanding how communication is going to make a difference in their business. It's the number one.
Well, I really think that, again, I'm like saying, I want to do that. So
you are going to, because you're a big part of it. You're going to be a big part of my boot camp coming up, and I love it.
If that happens, that tells me that I'm really engaged, and it is interesting because you point out something that you mentioned it. A lot of people are afraid to get up and speak. However, they've proven it time and time again that the best way to really get more clients in business is to speak and to communicate with people. And again, it may be one-to-one, it could be one-to-many, it could be in a webinar setting, like on a Zoom call, or in person on a stage. And you've said it, and I mean, just demonstrating all of the different things that you've demonstrated. And I highly recommend that everyone go back and they listen to this again and listen to how you are communicating, the way you use your voice, because just in that alone, they're going to learn some really key takeaways about how to present information so that it's exciting and memorable, and so that you do magnetize the audience. So you have the Speaker's Boot Money Train coming up, and then later in the year you have the Ignite Your Speaking Power Boot Camp.
No, the Ignite Your Speaking Power is coming up.
Oh, okay. So what is
my Speaker's Money Train formula blueprint right now is in a webinar form. So that says it's a webinar. And I love that you said the retreat. So I'm going to do that as a retreat. I love it because it's great. But they are. I do different things that part of my coaching program. When people sign up for getting furthermore to work with me so they can really fine tune where they're at, then those are part of what we delve into is more that money train, going in and really putting it all together. And I work with a program with John Limbacher that works with me too. And the program that he has called ACT, A-C-T, which is how to activate. So it's going to be analytics. It's going to be analytics, it's going to be creativity, and it's going to also be in traffic. And that's all about the business part. So it's putting your speaking, but also understanding how you're going to put it with your business as well. So it's kind of a whole holistic circular thing that you're going to come out with. It's more than just speaking. You really are going to get a business plan going as well.
So, and that is important, and because I know that many people, they understand I need to speak, but they also do need exactly what you're talking about. They need to know, well, how do I monetize this and make it really pay off and get that return on investment, like what you're talking about.
No, it's your business. It's a business that you have.
So you've shared, like, I don't even know. I bet you that you probably shared 25 to 50 tips already. And I wanted to ask you more about how everyone can reach out to you, because I know you have a couple different ways that they can communicate with you, because you mentioned that you have an online trainings, and then of course you have the in-person trainings, you have the books. So kind of give us a recap on how people can reach out and connect.
The best way, you go to my website, igniteyourspeakingpower.com, so you can really see things. But right now, if you're really interested in the boot camp, which I highly recommend it, it's a incredible 3-day experience. And it's a great way to start out the new year and understanding how you can immediately get out of the get-go, understand how you can start bringing money in to make a difference for your business. And so that is going to be immediately in the beginning of the year. I use it at the beginning of the year, and then at a later part of the year I have them. But it's igniteyourspeakingpowerbootcamp.com is what you go in to sign up for it. So igniteyourspeakingpowerbootcamp.com, and that's coming up. And then the webinar is the Speaker's Money Train Formula Blueprint, and that's the webinar, and that's a way. And also I always give ways at the end. Going to my website, you can find me. You can go to Facebook and, go on there and like on Facebook. Ask me to be your friend on Facebook. Melody Keymer Harper. Melody, Melody, like a tune. And then Keymer, Keymer. And then Harper, Harper. And I had people say, why such a long name? Why do you do that? Well, Melody Keymer is my birth name. Okay, and I have a twin sister. And we're the Keymer twins. So when we do things theatrically, we like to make sure that we still have the Keymer involved in there. And then our older sister always accompanied us on the piano. So she was Rochelle Keymer. And so the three of us go by Melody Keymer Harper, Marilyn Keymer Legas, Rochelle Keymer O'Donnell. We use our maiden name because it was our professional name. So, and then Harper is my married name. So I keep that in respect for my husband. And so that's important for me. And people now identify, and now they know it's Melody Keymer Harper. And I have people that have been mentors of mine that make a joke out of it. And now it's become where it's almost like, wow, that becomes more sing-songy and people remember it more. Because here comes Melody Keymer Harper, Melody Keymer Harper. It's so funny. But anyway, so melodykeymerharper.com is also, you can go to melodykeymerharper.com for my website. And that's as well as Ignite Your Speaking Power website. So Facebook, go ahead and go on there. Go to my Ignite Your Speaking Power special group, that you can go in there and subscribe to that. And then I'm on Instagram and social media, YouTube. So wherever, it's always Melody Keymer Harper. Reach out to me.
Melody Keymer Harper. I like it.
It's got the key in the key, so that's a key to remember, and the harp, like it's musical there too.
Yeah, that is, your name really is very musical.
It is.
Keymer Harper. You actually do have that. So everyone, again, listen to this interview again and make sure you take notes. I should have told you to take notes in the beginning. But you never know. But I definitely think everybody should listen again and definitely come to the boot camp, because it's not only about speaking, but it's about so much more than that. When you think about your presence, how you present things, your message, your stories. And this is one thing that I'm always interested in, and I'd love your input about it, Melody. How do you choose the stories you tell? If we can leave our audience with some answer to that, I will be very happy. How do you choose the stories you tell?
There are different, this is a really good question because stories are so important, Tammy. And I know that a lot of people say, I don't have any stories. Well, yeah, you do. Everybody does. Everybody does. And I'm really good at pulling out these stories and finding out, and they go, oh my gosh, I can use this and I can use that. It's the way you're going to use those stories. So I have different techniques that I use, and you'll find that when you come to the boot camp about them, but I'll give a couple of them right now, is that one of the media things that I do is going around and I talk about what Elvis, Liz, and Johnny taught me about public speaking. And so there's 3 different things I do, and it's storytelling. And another thing that I talked about with these 3, with their different stories, I told on the media what I let's see, how did I put it? How to tell better stories around the campfire during summer, because it was very specific to the summertime. And it's just finding what is in your personal past. And I use all the celebrities with my stories, with Elizabeth Taylor, Debbie Reynolds. Debbie Reynolds became a really good friend. And everybody knows who Princess Leia was, okay, Carrie Fisher. That was Debbie Reynolds, was her mom. And I became very close friends with them and was on a lot of stages and performed with them a lot. And a big part of that was family. Family was very important to her. And so to me, in my heart, I know that she died the next day after Carrie Fisher because of a broken heart. She did not want to stay here without being with Carrie anymore. That was important to her. Family was utmost important. People love hearing stories about families. Give another one. Betty White is another one that I use. Working with her, a big thing is the animal. I did a fundraiser with her, and it was an animals' rights type of one. And with the animals, people always gravitate for animals. Just take an animal on a leash and walk it down the street. And what happens? You get a lot of attention. It's like taking a baby. You have the animal, you get a lot of attention. So people love hearing stories about animals. They love hearing stories about families. They love hearing stories that are something that may be your most embarrassing moment, or something that maybe is like, oh, I can't say this. I'm not supposed to say this. But you do. And it comes out. But you always then tie it in to whatever your topic is, not to just be talking about an animal story or a family story, but why is that important to tell it? And I talk about, like, working with Elvis Presley, because he really helped me understand how to control the butterflies, keep them in formation so that you can get better presentations. It's just not being a singer. And also to use your mistakes. And a big thing that I learned in a story that I have with Elvis is because how he got to do what he's doing was a big mistake. And a lot of people don't know that. But when he was younger, he was singing, and he was singing a gospel, and all of a sudden he got so nervous, his legs started moving. And people were like, whoa, and all of a sudden the girls in the audience were screaming. And he was like, wow, he didn't realize, but he was savvy enough to know that got a rise out of people, a positive rise. And so that was not intentional. He learned that. He kept that wiggling because he knew, and that became his whole thing. That became his shtick, you might say. It was his motto. It's his whole thing. It's his image. And that was because of an accident, not because it was planned. But after that, it became planned because it was a winner. And I remember, like Jerry Seinfeld said, after he decided to retire from the Jerry Seinfeld show, I want to go back into comedy. And what he did is he took 3x5 cards and he wrote all these different little jokes that he was going to say. And he did it, and they laughed and go, okay, he kept that one. If all of a sudden he said, okay, that's a bomb, he went threw the card away because he knew that wasn't good. He was testing it out. And that's what you do. You find out what works and what doesn't work. But everything needs to tie in to whatever the topic is that you're talking about. Like you are doing publishing. If you're a publisher, if you help people get out there to make a difference, then your stories have to lead back to why it would make a difference in getting out there and hiring you. In other words, to be the publisher that's going to help them make a difference in their life. And that's what it's all about, is leading people back to you because you're the expert. You're the go-to person. And these stories make you stand out unique. And that's how you stand out, is by being unique, not like anybody else. And everybody says, but there's so many speakers, or there's so many publishers, or there's so many book people. No, There may be a lot of people, but there's only one you. And you need to find how that uniqueness is going to make a difference for you to stand out so that they say, I want that one. I want Tammy to help me with all my publishing because she's the best one, which she is. So make sure you get with Tammy because that will help you to make a difference with your publicity. So to get out there with your publicity, get out there with all your one sheets and your press releases. And these are things that we talk about in speaking because those are important. Those are your materials. That's what gets you out there. And so it's just really finding that the story, again, I have all these different, there's about 15 different techniques to how you can put a story together to find them. And at the boot camp, we work on that, how to find stories and work on putting stories. So it's not just coming to the boot camp and getting some information and bye-bye, take it home and then try to work on it. We actually work on it there and create at the boot camp. And you get an opportunity to use the microphone to share. Because that gives you the opportunity, the more you share, the more you get on the microphone, the more comfortable you're going to get out there. And then you're going to see how those stories resonate with people. And I'll tell you the best way to do a story. This is the best hint I can give you on this, is make sure the more you have emotion that's tugging at the hearts with your story, the stronger somebody is going to remember your story and remember you. It's much more memorable. And there's much more buy-in. And like you said, and that's what you want is people to lean into you and want to hear more, be more interesting and more interested. And that's through emotion. So the more emotion you can have, the more you tug at a person's heartstrings, the stronger they'll be liking you.
Wow. Now that was good advice. That to go to your boot camp just to learn how to find your stories to tell, that's priceless, because that is one of the hardest things that I've had for me personally. And when I've talked to other people that they've told me that, that's a very common question. It's like, well, how do I know? And you even said it. Some people say, well, I don't have any stories. But we all do, because, we all had a childhood. We all grew up, we all lived. And so we have something. It might not be anything dramatic, but one little nugget could be something that could make somebody connect to you in that magnetic way. So thank you so much for that, Melody. So before I let you go, remind us again where we can go to get information. We know to go look on social media, Melody Keymer Harper, but what is the website they should go to sign up?
IgniteYourSpeakingPowerBootCamp.com. IgniteYourSpeakingPowerBootCamp.com.
Okay, so with that, IgniteYourSpeakingPowerBootCamp.com. Everyone, this is Tammy Patzer. Go make it a beautiful day.
Thank you.
You've been on the air, listening to Author Interview Radio. To get instant access to all the private author conversations, go to authorinterviewradio.com. Subscribe now.